Well, hello everybody. This is week 10 of my Writer Wednesdays Facebook Live video series that I've been doing. Week 10. Wow. That's kind of crazy to me. It's like, how did 10 weeks go by? Wow. Okay, anyway. So, here we are, week 10. And one of the things that I've been struggling with, well, probably all my life, but particularly this past week, past couple weeks, is dealing with overwhelm. And I know a lot of artists, a lot of other parents, people in general, they suffer with this too because there's a lot to do and there's so many distractions, things that are trying to vie for time regardless of who you are or what you're trying to do or what you're trying to accomplish. And as an author who is trying to launch not one, but 2 books this year, because I'm a lunatic, the overwhelm has been pretty intense. And so for me, I thought I'd share a few tips that I've used over the years. It's not just this year, but obviously years of figuring out how to best manage the overwhelming aspects of life and writing and trying to manage being a self-employed entrepreneur and writing in general. With that, I have a bazillion children that come and go into this household, and yeah, it gets crazy. So I have a list here of 9 things. Not all of them are tips, like as in you should do this, but some of them are. And I'll kind of briefly talk about them quick because I think that they're helpful to remember, even if you're not an author, even if you're not someone who writes very often. It doesn't matter what it is, even if it's just trying to be the best parent you can be, trying to be the best worker you can be, trying to just enjoy life in general. So the first tip that I want to talk about, and it's one that I talk about often, whether it's in blogs or Facebook Lives or wherever, I have this very strong opinion that being mindful, being present in the moment, is probably the key thing that everyone needs to start doing. And it's not just when you get overwhelmed, but in general, we need to start being more aware of ourselves, of our actions, of what our words mean, what they say, how people take them. So much can be resolved just by being present and not allowing conditioning, mental conditioning, other things to just kind of take control of yourself and go with the craziness. But in addition to that, it helps you focus on one thing. So when we get overwhelmed, it's anxiety kicking in. And in order to combat anxiety, because that's a worry of what might happen in the future, the key thing really is to start dealing with one thing at a time. What's the one thing I can focus on and put my attention to right now? So for instance, this morning was nuts. I was working on 900 different things. I was waiting for a phone call. I knew I had to do my workout. I knew this Facebook Live was coming up at 1 o'clock. I knew I had to do my shower. I knew that the toddler boy needed to eat and he needed to get to bed, which I managed to do 5 minutes before this whole Facebook Live thing. Whew. And my husband's in the garage doing God knows what with a welder, and power is going out and microwaves are going off because everything in this weird house is tied to one thing or another. And needless to say, breathing. I had to focus and just do the one thing that I could manage right then. And I do that often. I kind of bring myself back and just focus, become present of everything else that I'm doing and let everything else go. So in that mindset, I guess, number 2 is to take a breather. When you do get overwhelmed, when things are getting so crazy and hectic that you're ready to like freak out, mothers never do this ever, by the way, but you know, just in case someone might, taking a breather, go meditate, go do something else, go for a walk outside, step away from whatever it is you're doing that's giving you anxiety, that is making you completely nuts. Just walk away and give yourself a brain break, because sometimes our brains do honestly get in overload, and trying to reset it and allow whatever is pushing our buttons to go is sometimes the best way to just come back and be able to really handle something. And speaking of that, okay, this is probably one that will be controversial for a lot of people who don't like to sweat it off, but workouts. My husband's not a fan. Sorry, honey, I love you, but he's not a fan of workouts. I, however, am. And part of the reason for it is so many studies are coming out. In case you haven't been aware, I am very, very fond of just the whole concept of neurology and how how our brains work. And so one of the things that I've done, I've written about on the Canadian Pharmacy King and on other blog posts about how working out actually stirs on and spurs on, that's the word, neurogenesis. And what does that mean? It means creating new brain cells that can function properly. And why does that matter? Well, when you have brain cells that are failing and you're not able to concentrate, you're not able to manage your life in a way that is making sense, or if you're really honestly trying to be creative and come up with awesome new ideas, you need every brain cell you can get. So neurogenesis, it's super important. Not only does it create a healthier body, but it creates a healthier mind. And we're only just starting to really delve into this aspect of things. And so it's important, I believe, to make sure that you are trying to move your body at least 30 minutes a day. It's so important. I can speak for myself that if I do not work out, my brain is more sluggish. I can tell instantly that I haven't gotten enough oxygen through my body, and it just makes things a little bit more difficult. Okay, speaking of other healthy things to do when you are getting overwhelmed, water. Drink your water. I'm sorry, it's a health thing, I know, but it's important. You need to drink your water in order to make sure that toxins are being flushed from your body, that your cells are being hydrated and able to function properly. And it's key in so many aspects. It's not just important for health reasons like losing weight or anything like that. It's definitely important for the overall aspect of a cognitive mind that can function properly and optimally. Another one, this is one that I do semi-often, I guess, but only when I get overwhelmed, which maybe I should be doing it more often, but it's recap your day and reset your goals for tomorrow. I have a obviously lists that I do, which I actually have right here, but I also have daily goals, daily achievements that I need to acquire throughout the day. So as a freelance writer and graphic designer, I have my list for that. But as someone who is also handling my author goals, I have to keep myself managed. And when we get overwhelmed, sometimes there's so much happening all at once, and focusing on the things that are most important by writing them down can really give us that focus we need in order to get the things done without feeling too overwhelmed. Let's see here. I also want you to follow the joy. Okay. And I've said this on Facebook recently, and I think probably Twitter, but really, when it comes down to it, there are so many things that you can be putting your attention on. You're one person. Your energy is best focused wherever you're finding joy. And wherever it's bringing you the bliss that makes you happy in your day. So rather than, we all have crap that we have to do that we don't overly enjoy. I'm not a big fan of laundry, but it has to get done. And so finding either joy in that moment, being able to go, ooh, this is a nice little breather, or just enjoying the silence for a few minutes, whatever it is, just find the bliss in it and find some joy that you can focus on. It also retrains your neural pathways. Rather than complaining and making your brain kind of settle down this spiraling pathway where things are always wrong, it retrains your brain, honestly retrains your brain to be thinking things in a more positive light. And by doing that, it makes it easier when things go really wrong to look at something with a more positive spin on it, even if it's something that's completely crazy. And that can be really important because it creates neuroelasticity. It allows you to cope. There's so much about the brain that I just find fascinating. So I'm sorry, I have to keep going back to that, but it's really key. Keeping that healthy brain, I am going to give you a thing to avoid. There's two. They're kind of the same coin-ish, but they're two that I struggle, well, one I struggle with right now, and the other one is one that I've struggled with in the past, but not in a bad way, not like overly often. Okay, anyway, they are drinking sodas or drinking alcohol. Both of them can have detrimental effects to your brain. Now, the soda, it's because of all the different chemicals that are in it. It's the phosphoric acid and the way that it metabolizes in your body, the insulin that shoots through your body because of all the sugar that goes through your system all at once. There's so many different things. It makes your brain sluggish. It makes your body sluggish. It's just not good for you. Oh, hey, Kate, I see you on there. Hello. I don't know if I'll see any comments, but hopefully I continue to. So the other one is alcohol. Now, I've never been a huge alcohol person, but occasionally it's nice to still have a drink once in a while. I mean, especially when you have, 3 kids in the house and they're all going nuts. But I have noticed, especially as I've gotten older or more aware of my brain, it does some wicked stuff to your mind. I mean, if I had one drink the next morning, my brain, it would take probably until the afternoon before I was really functioning where I felt I should be with my writing and with the things I wanted to do. It just wasn't worth it to me. I mean, it was one of those things where I have too much to do and too much ambition to allow alcohol to really slug me down. And so it does all those neural pathways. It makes things more difficult to understand, to comprehend, to verbalize, to write down. It's just, and in addition, it invites in a lot of other poor choices, especially if you do more active drinking. That is going to be more detrimental to your health, obviously. And so from a person who, I guess, struggles with a familial addiction to alcohol, I personally do not have that, but I have no doubt that it could become an issue if I were to be open to it. Because I have a lot of people who struggle with alcoholism in the family. And it's so key to be aware, again, of yourself and of your brain, and to know where your limits are, and to know what everything you're putting in your body is doing to your brain. Because all those things increase the issues you have with becoming overwhelmed. The brain is crucial when it becomes crazy to know that having a clear mind can keep you in complete control. And it really is that simple. So, number 8, this is one that this is my struggle point. Ask for help. When you get really overwhelmed, ask for help. And I suck at that one. I fancy myself Wonder Woman, and I think I can do it all. And most of the time I can, but sometimes I really need help. And it's difficult for me to finally go, somebody, can you do this? Because I kind of think that if people wanted to help, they'd see it and they'd do it themselves without me having to ask. But that's not always the case, because everybody, it kind of reminds me of a line from Buffy. Kate, you'll probably remember this one, where Buffy is like listening to all these voices in her head, and she has to tell Jonathan, everyone's ignoring your pain because they're too busy dealing with their own. The first time I heard that line, oh my gosh, that was like mind-blowing to me, probably back in like 1999. But it was so key, where it's like, oh, no kidding, everybody has their own lives. No wonder they're not thinking about the things that I'm thinking about. For whatever reason, when I was in my early 20s, that was a big aha moment. And so anyway, ask for help. Don't be afraid. I'll keep working on it if you'll keep working on it. That's definitely one of my sticking points. The last one is, don't get into multi-passion paralysis. And I use this term for people who are like me, who have a lot of interests, where you kind of get stuck because there's so many interests in so many directions. But it's similar to when you're just getting overwhelmed by having too much to do, or too many things coming at you at once. Don't allow yourself to be paralyzed by all the different things you have going on, because just like that line about, even if you can only walk a mile, you're still, kicking everybody's asses who are sitting on the couch. And that's so true, because every little bit matters. Every little bit that you're doing is important. And taking any steps is better than just sitting there in fear, in paralysis, in procrastination, and not wanting to accomplish anything. So don't let fear or any of those things get to you. to the point where you become still, where you don't work. So those are my biggest things, my tips that I have about overcoming overwhelm right now. And there are definitely ones that I'm putting to use almost daily at this point in time with the 2 books coming out. I do have some good news with that. I have a book cover reveal coming up for Polarities on July. We're still in July, right? See, my brain is like elsewhere. Okay, so July 24th, the cover reveal is going to be hitting, and I'm lining up bloggers. So if you're a blogger happening to stumble upon this, please let me know if you would like to join my reveal, or any of the book tours later on, as those are going to be coming up later on this year in October and November. So that's happening, and hopefully I'll have some news about pre-orders for Polarities as well. So, that's it this week, I think. I don't have any kids to laugh at falling off this bench, or husbands to laugh at because he's, welding something. But at least we have a lot else going on and a lot of things to be talking about. So if you are interested in learning more, I probably do a blog about overcoming overwhelm so that it's in written form as well, if you're interested. So take a look at my blog, go to carissaandrews.com, and it's under my story. I have to be different because blog's just boring to me. So click on my story. That's where all the articles that I publish are located. And don't forget to share this video if you enjoyed it. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Have a good rest of the week.